All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know it's Friday. You know it's that time here for us on Sportswire Radio where we speak about all the latest happenings in the world of pro wrestling. Usually, we have them on as part of our crew with the asset Stephen Cross covering the LWF, but we're doing something different. We're almost doing something that was totally out of left field. I didn't know we were going to do it. In fact, I don't even know if I looked at the right way. I don't know if he looks the right way, but we're doing it here for the first time because there is a lot to catch up on here. And I haven't spoke about the LWF in a couple of weeks, and I haven't spoke about him in the last couple of weeks. So I think it would be a great time to kind of get the party started and catch up on all things in the LWF. And he also had a birthday in between, so a lot going on with him. So with further ado here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show pro wrestling star here from the LWF and Odyssey Pro Wrestling. His name is Wildfire Nate Reese. My friend, nice to meet you on camera.
Well, Stephen Cross did say I have a face just for radio, but I thought just for you, because it's been such a long time, and for all the listeners, for Sportswire, it's about time that my mug got shown as well. And I know you've had a lot of people on. You've had Nathan Gunn, you've had Davey Getsky, you've had Mike Fitzgerald, you've had a lot of people.
Mysterious Mr. B, can't forget about him.
Of course you can't. Mysterious Mr. B. And the Los Lankadors, actually just...
Yes, they've been on here. Even Chris Stone has been on here, believe it or not.
Sorry, I'm just checking like the doors and like under my bed, make sure Mr. B's not here. Just
stay tuned because you never know. Certainly, very well. Even Reynaldo's been on here live. But we've had pretty much almost everybody. Mr. Baby has been on here live. But finally, after over a year, you've debuted live on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all these places. And I almost have to say it's nice to meet you, although I've known you for over a year. It's like the most weirdest situation, I guess, now.
Well, this is it. Just like online dating. You're not being catfished, Tom. I'm here.
I haven't done online dating. I have to be honest. I won't do the online dating. I am just, it's not for me. People say one thing and then another thing, and you hear all kinds of crazy stories. So people ask me all the time. They say, why don't you do Twitter or Tinder or Plenty of Fish, all these places? I'm like, no, thanks. I'll take a pass. I'll take a hard pass on online dating. No way. Not for me. Not for me.
Sounds far more terrifying than any match that
It sounds
could be
far
put
more
in.
terrifying than the mysterious Mr. B. I'll tell you that much.
It probably is Mr. B on any profile that you sort of swipe right on.
I wouldn't put it past him. I would not put it past him. I'll tell you that much. I mean, stay tuned for that. But obviously, a lot to get into here over the past few weeks, and it's been a while. And Summer Clash is coming up here. Summer Smash, you name it, whatever you want to call it. August the 20th, we're just a few short weeks away. And I mean, what have you been up to here these past few weeks? Because I know that there's a lot we've missed, and tell us some of it here for our audience on Sportswire Radio.
Okay, so, and I think that's quite a good question, because more often than not, to be a true, humble, modest professional wrestler, you've got to keep working towards greatness. So obviously myself and my absolute best friend, tag team partner, Stephen Cross, the asset himself, who I'm sure is definitely watching right now. He must be watching right now from afar, wishing that he could join us. You know, I know he's got probably a large stein of fine ale. I've got just some apple juice right now.
I unfortunately have a 7-Eleven Big Gulp, which is probably going to lead me to my death. So, hey.
I've never had one of those, but I can imagine.
In New York, it's so hot that I'm like, frig it, I've got to do it.
We've had a bit of a heat wave here too. We had up to 40 degrees sort of the other week.
38 or something like that. At one point.
It was.
I think I had Disciple on, and Disciple was in his car, and it looked like it was like more than 40. It looked like it. Disciple was like he still had his arms out, still looked like he hadn't broke a sweat, but it did look hot. I'll tell you that much.
So I hope he had his windows down.
Mm.
Disciples you can't leave him in a hot car like that.
He happens to be a fan of us, thankfully. That's all I'll say.
That's some commitment to the cause right there in some aspects. But no, in terms of what I've been doing, obviously the last LWF show, myself and Stephen Cross got to be part of that 8-man tag team match.
Yep.
And due to a small error in miscommunication, the Blazing Guns were able to take advantage there and make the most out of that opportunity. Cross walked away, but I think I fixed that problem. So obviously with any relationship, online or otherwise, I've checked in forms of counselling and trustful exercises, knowing that when myself and Stephen Cross get the opportunity to team again, we can be the greatest team. We can be solidified. We can be cohesive. We can be whole. We can be one.
And it's funny you say that because you talk about Blazing Guns, you talk about the scenario Nathan Gunn, because we had him on last a couple of weeks ago, and we are bringing him back next week. So certainly we'll have you on camera, and certainly we will have on Mr. Gunn after or before, depending on schedules. So we're excited about that. But do you feel like in some ways that the scenario Nathan Gunn almost in some ways he used you guys as a springboard to get himself into a big match with Nick Cutter? Because I kind of feel like with the scenario Nathan Gunn that he's got some wins that really, I mean, he gets credit for them, but he is in a match with Nick Cutter. I mean, how do you feel about that?
It's an interesting match, isn't it? And
very intriguing.
When you see on that graphic,
Nathan Gunn's on a little bit of a run right now, and we had him on last, and it was almost like, are we transitioning from him being almost, how can I say, not quite a comedy act, but now maybe more of a serious act?
First and foremost, they're a tag team.
I know.
Him, Conrad Blaze, they are a team. They're a team that don't truly invest in the power of friendship like me and Stephen Cross will do.
I asked him about that when he was here. I asked him about that. I said, are you guys on the same page at one point? And he assured us that they were on the same page, and they did get a win. At your expense, by the way.
Oh, LWF has cost me something at my expense. Wow, that must be a day that ends in Y there, isn't it, Tom? However, like all good relationships, online catfishing or otherwise, they take commitment. And is that commitment there? Nathan's took this match, and he wanted this match against Nick Cutter. Hey, Dan Byrne, what a comment right there.
I know who this is. I know who this
Much obliged, good sir. Much obliged. I appreciate that.
A good man he is, by the way. I want to tell you, just to say, he's a good friend of ours here on Sportswire Radio. That's all I want to say. He's a good friend of ours. So he's also doing some good things in his own right. That's all I'll say.
Look at this acknowledgement. Nate Reese, you legend. To put that in comparison, Tom, from one of the last shows I received, let's have a look. So we've got Wildfire Nate Reese. Yay, I have a sign and it works okay. Boom, 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 boom. That's exactly what the LWF usually shows me.
Did they give you the... So wait. Hold on a second. Let's talk about this, because you have a sign, right, with Nate Reese. Nate Reese sucks, right? But did Bibby give you this? Did a fan give you this? I mean, how do you have a sign of yours saying something like this in your own home? This is certainly something I didn't expect to see on Sportswire Radio.
This was given to me by somebody truly monstrous. Someone so horrific that you kind of almost had to have it, not in form of any terms of endearment, but just as almost like a ritualistic sacrifice. I believe there's a new Predator film out this week, and just like holding that trophy with the skull on that the Predator would have, I've kind of got to have that. That was off a 13-year-old girl. A 13-year-old teenage girl invested enough time to put Nate Reese sucks on that sign and then give that to me.
A 13-year-old should be focusing on different things. A 13-year-old should be focusing on maybe worrying about cheering other wrestlers, or maybe not so much coming up with the time to do that. I would say that speaks maybe poor on the parents' end more than anything else.
Speaks volumes on those that go to Chorley, those that line up month after month.
Buckshaw Village Community Center, certainly they really lost their minds there.
It takes one to raise a village, but it takes somebody like myself to truly condition and strengthen that to make sure it becomes so much more. And that's okay. This is why I keep these things. They're a reminder of all the lessons I still need to instill My work is never truly done. And no matter what happens in the LWF, there is always somebody else that needs to learn a new lesson courtesy of me. And now with my friend Stephen Cross.
How is Stephen Cross these days, by the way? How is he doing?
Well, after sending him a text, an email, and carrier pigeon, I wrote him a postcard, I gave him a call, I left a voicemail, I tried Skyping him, and I heard something back like, leave me alone, you whopper. So I assume he's doing pretty good. Like, that's generally the consensus that Cross does. I believe whopper or fool, buffoon, gibbon, it's kind of a term of endearment that he likes to give. And whilst he shares it with people, just for me, he really likes ensuring that. And those red emoji faces, like so many of them in a row, like 6, 12, 18, the more he puts on, the more it just showcases how much he's thinking of me. So this is why I know that we can be a great team. And this is why I know that wherever he is right now, as he looks outside, and it's still light, but he can look at the moon and he knows that my face will be there looking back. Just like this. Just like this, Cross. I know I'm always there watching. Even when you're asleep, I'm there. So just think about that, Cross. Think about that all the time. I am there.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if you do like what you hear from Wildfire Nate Reese, I would highly encourage that you do give him a like, on follow on Facebook right now, Nate Reese Wrestling, because this is a guy, he has been one of the anchors of Sportswire Radio, and he is why we are where we are today. You can also catch him on Instagram as well at Nate_Reese_wrestling. You make sure you follow this guy because he has been one of my favorites for a long time. And yes, he is a legend on the UK wrestling scene because I speak with wrestlers, whether it's Bentley, they've mentioned him, whether it's Gareth Angel, they've mentioned him, whether it's you name a person, they've mentioned him. Of course, the natural born fighter, R.P. Davis, Andre Decker.
Really?
It's a long list of people that know Wildfire Nate Reese, know what he brings to the table, and certainly you better, again, follow him on these places. Also, the LWF. I can't stress enough the fact to follow the LWF. LWF on Twitter, the LWF Wrestling on Instagram. Also, if you're on Facebook, like the LWF page because the LWF has a lot of content coming up, and they have the biggest show, one of the biggest shows of the summer, one of the biggest shows of the year coming up, Summer Smash here. It'll be August the 20th, which is 2 short weeks from tomorrow. So we will certainly see between now and the next few weeks if Wildfire Nate Reese will be doing something. Something tells me he'll be doing something. He'll be doing something very big. It's a great card. It's going to be headlined by Davey Getzky and Reynaldo for the LWF World Championship, and certainly some other great matches. Nick Cutter in the scenario, Nathan Gunn, Lachlan Sharp, and Rob Drake. I mean, that's going to be a wild match. I mean, I have to say Wildfire Nate Reese.
Match.
I want to go to that because that's obviously been something we've talked about here in the past, and obviously those guys, last man standing. I mean, you think about what those guys in terms of their rivalry. I mean, I know that for a while it was J-Mac, John McKinney, but kind of Rob Drake has kind of stepped in there. I mean, what do you expect in a match like that? Because I think that match is certainly one of the more intriguing matches we're going to see all around.
I think when you look at the Summer Smash card, LWF has a lot of colourful personalities and a lot of different styles and things like that. But with those two, you've got very smash mouth, very gritty, technical wrestlers.
Absolutely.
There may be smooth transitions in terms of the wrestling, but those two are going to go at it completely. And now, with it being a last man standing match, which is certainly something that hasn't happened in the LWF for some time, for as long as I can remember.
I think definitely not since we've come back in 2021. We have to go back at least 3, maybe 4 years, maybe.
This is it, and now you've got these two tangible qualities in Lachlan Sharp, who is on a roll everywhere he goes to. I know he's currently in contention for the Future Shock Championship as well. Mm-hmm. Very, very gritty, well-versed grappler. Very strong, incredibly strong with the lifts that he does. And then you have Rob Drake, somebody who, again, is fulfilling all the promise and living up to being the younger brother of somebody who's already very well established.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have to say anything about his brother.
But also, he's not being cast or stuck in that shadow either. Rob Drake is making a name for himself.
We've actually spoke about that in the past and how difficult that could be, to be in the shadow of somebody in a James Drake who's done, I mean, so many things. I mean, just not even, it would be very hard to be in those shoes. And I think that he's done a good job in terms of making his own name.
This is it. And so when you have two stars who are very hungry, incredibly hungry to succeed, to graduate up further towards title contention within the LWF, I mean, what's to say that either one of those, whoever is the victor in that match, couldn't become the number one contender?
Absolutely. No question. And those are two guys.
It's as good a shot as anybody.
Oh, no question. And those are two guys that could hold the world title in almost any company right now.
And you look at the promotions they're working for, especially within the Northwest, whether it is an Odyssey Pro Wrestling, whether it is Catch, whether it is LWF, whether it's Future Shock, any others, Lachlan Sharp, Rob Drake, they're both names that could grace any card and be very welcome. I think fans would be very, very intrigued by what they do. And I think for those of you who may have not seen Lachlan Sharp yet, very no-nonsense, very interesting style, very intriguing style. If you're a fan of somebody, say, like Claudio Castagnoli, he's well worth certainly checking out. I can imagine there may be some comparisons in terms of styles, lifts, strikes.
I was watching Broken Skull Sessions the other day with Sami Zayn, and they were still referring to him as Cesaro.
Well, they all get stuck with nicknames and things, don't they? But he's doing a very, very good job. Again, Rob Drake, he's also in this power couple with Lana Austin, making moves there as a team, in addition to all the great stuff that he's doing right now. And I mean, ultimately, the wrestling world can feel quite small, but it can expand and get big. So with each opportunity, this can come up, because I'm going to show you a little history lesson here, Tom, just on my wall if I can. So I'm rubbish with this camera, I apologize. But if you look there is me on the right-hand side, but there is a young Sam Gradwell in the middle of that poster there.
I see that. Yes, I do.
That was from 2014, and that was at the Leighton Institute where Odyssey hosted their shows in Blackpool.
Yep.
So you never know what comes back around in this crazy world of wrestling.
That's wild. You think about that.
I'm just really old these days, as Cross likes to remind me.
I'm coming down the pike because I've got now white in my and I was reminded to that by one of my friends who watches our streams, and he said, "Oh, you might want to use the hair dye." And I said, "Yeah, I'm coming close to that." But to be fair, my mutton chops are so long at this point. And I shouldn't even say this live, but they're literally like almost like they're too long. They're like going to the point where it's like I can never shave them off. And that's I shouldn't say this. I got a job offer, and I think one of the stipulations was to trim it. I can't take the job.
They are nothing short of sensational. You hold on to those mutton chops.
That's why I think
what dreams are made of.
And that's why I'm not taking that job. But that's certainly here nor there. But I did want to promote something that I think you have been a part of in the past with the LWF that I know for people that is important, and I want to while I'm live. And I haven't got a chance to speak about the LWF in a couple of weeks since Nathan Gunn was here. I think Nathan Gunn was here about maybe 3 weeks ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago now. So I really want to bring this because I know you've done some work with it. And that is our training academy here in the LWF. And they do a lot of great things. Obviously, we see some Monday Night Mutiny shows there of note, and we also see a number of different things that it really helps the wrestling community. Obviously, I've donated to the LWF Training Academy in the past and making sure that the promotion runs with this company very well. And talk to me about the Training Academy and maybe what you've done there in the past in helping maybe some younger wrestlers grow and become the people that we'll see on LWF shows and places like Monday Night Mutiny, even as an example.
Okay, so the LWF Training Academy from the ground up is that phrase. And they've helped train and establish a lot of the mainstay LWF superstars and the LWF wrestlers who are on the roster. So you have wrestlers like Shining Wizard, for example, Clash, Big Ron, and you've got the Los Lancadors, Disfrazada, Mass Marauder, Mysterious Mr. B, just checking, he's not there, that's okay. Bob Costin.
Bob Costin. Oh, Bobby boy, Bobby Costin.
But the LWF Academy runs training regularly. There are different tiers of classes. There's a beginner's class. There's an advanced class that is headed out with numerous different trainers. I've took sessions there at certain times. I know that Troy Ryan from Synergy.
Yes, I saw that. Was it last week?
Quite a significant run.
Last week, I think I saw him there.
Yeah, I believe he's helping a lot in terms of establish the trainees there as well. So again, you've got somebody who, well, he's pretty big and he's pretty strong, and he can lift me really high and throw me down. So I could recommend him. I could greatly recommend him as a trainer. You can learn a lot from him. There's a lot of different training schemes that go on. I know that Jack Barron and Jenny B were taking classes as well.
Jack Barron, the birthday boy, Jack Barron.
That's it. I can imagine his is significantly different than to our birthdays these days. I think he's still quite a young one, is Jack Barron there.
Although I had a friend of mine who actually reminded me, Jamie Sanders, who sometimes watches our streams and has listened to us, whether it's on SoundCloud or YouTube or our clips on Instagram, reminded me that he's coming up on a half birthday, which I didn't realize half birthdays was such a thing. Meaning with 6 months, he celebrates like every 6 months he gets to a birthday.
I'd like to know the plan for that. I mean, if I think about it, so I've been in the LWF. I ruined Costin's life for 6 months. I could have a half birthday for that. It's been nearly 2 months since three, since me and the asset Stephen Cross. We could have a quarterly celebration.
Well, how about Tonga? I mean, you and Tonga, remember that was your bestie for a while?
It was a beautiful month. It was a beautiful month.
It wasn't even like what U2 sang, "It's a Beautiful Day." It was a beautiful month.
You don't get Bono or The Edge singing that. They won't paraphrase for me if I ring them.
It's a beautiful month instead of a beautiful day. It's a beautiful month.
You know what? Let's rewrite. I could easily do that as a song for me and the asset Stephen Cross. Sure we do. Sure we could. I don't know. Let's try like Mariah Carey. It's a sweet, sweet tag team, baby. Getting rid of all the freaks out in Chorley. I'm sure Cross would love that. I could easily do that.
And you have somebody else that's tuned in here who I won't say who this individual is, but he may know you, and he says Naughty Nate Reese. So he says you're naughty, not full of wildfire.
He's just using alliteration. Look at that. N-A-N-A. Paul Sargent, whoever
Triple
he is.
N? Triple N?
A little bit, yeah, but, he's gone for Naughty Nate. He couldn't have gone for anything else, could he?
Naughty by Nate instead of naughty by nature, naughty by Nate.
And again, what is one person's description of naughty?
I don't know. You tell me.
Coming under the ring, cutting somebody's hair.
This individual says that you're naughty, Nate Reese. And this individual may know somebody that's been on here a few different times. That's all I'm going to say about this individual. And this individual might know somebody that's going to come back here before August 20th. I have a very strong suspicion of.
I have no doubt that he's fully acquainted with so many of those LWF stalwarts. They're the true mischievous souls there. Your Nathan Gunn, your Conrad Blaze, your Bob Costin. The Mass Marauder, Disfrazada, Mysterious Mr. B. All these different people that keep coming on and on and on. Your Leah Ravens. Who else? Yeah, they were in that tag team match, weren't they? Oh, I'm sure he probably knows Belatius as well.
But they've had some issues with Belatius, though. They've had some issues.
Well, the Los Lancadors may have, but again, who doesn't seem to have an issue with me in the LWF? Kairan, again, another great academy graduate. And what's the first thing he does? Tries to dive on me in the lumberjack match.
Even Bentley had it. By the way, Bentley had a few things to say about you a couple weeks ago, by the way. He definitely didn't mince words with you. He knows you very well. And Bentley wanted to point out that he has a history and he knows you very well.
And I'm sure it was very charming and meticulous in the details that Bentley was. Very verbose and articulate, I have no doubt.
Yeah, that kind of does fit Bentley because he's also, by the way, I should probably say it while I'm here, he is coming back also. He actually specifically messaged me to come back.
I can't wait. I'm sure it's going to be another wonderful rebuttal, a diatribe of positive adjectives, just like everybody seems to have for me all the time on a constant basis.
Why do you seem to be not liked? It's just really, at this point, I'm trying to think of the LWF roster. I mean, what gives here? I mean, literally over the past year, I've been speaking with you, and we've rattled off so many people in the LWF locker room, and I've got literally almost the entire locker room that I've just rattled off, or at least 2/3 of the locker room, and it seems to be the same consensus. I think even Davey Getsky, if I'm not mistaken, I think when we had Getsky on and we spoke about you and Costin, if I recall, I'm pretty sure even Getsky said, I'm going for Bob Costin. And I was like, are you sure? And I was like, wait a minute. Davey Getzky, of all people, the Wrecking Crew, Davey Getzky, said he was for Bob Costin because he felt that you were annoying, and he felt that Bob Costin, at least, he respects his wrestling abilities. I mean, so even Davey Getzky seems like he doesn't fall on the Nate Reese side of things.
I'm just going to check under the bottom of my boot just to make sure, if there's anything lower I could possibly get to now with the rest of the LWF roster. But the reason why, Tom, is reputation precedes all. And ultimately, people can say whatever they want. They can think as low as me as they want. But every single time I make waves, there's always a moment or something to remember me by. We've talked for months and months on end about everything that's taken place in the LWF, whether it's teaming with Tonga. I miss you, Tonga. Whether it's shaving Bob Costin's hair.
That was a great moment, I have to say. And by the way, you didn't get pinned by Franco Varga, who's coming back.
I most certainly did not get pinned by Franco Varga, did I?
Franco Varga, you didn't get pinned by him.
And just as a side note there, did Bentley get pinned by Franco Varga?
I'm pretty sure in Bolton Town Wrestling that was the case way back.
I think that could have been the case, couldn't it?
In fact, Bentley referenced it here on Sportswire Radio. I know because I've had him on 3 times, and he's coming on for number 4. And I'll be sure to remind him of that when he comes back on here the following week from now. I'll make sure.
This is it. And you look at the roughshod that Franco Varga ran all throughout that UK tour and all throughout the extra appearances that he's doing now.
He was in the ring with. I mean, it was just a large number of basically companies. We saw him literally all over the place.
And then again, moving forwards, he's at EC3, PCO. Yep. He's appearing all over internationally.
I think I saw him also with the MLW champion, I'm pretty sure. I think I saw him with Jacob Fatu somewhere.
In some ways, again, very underrated, Franco Varga, in a lot of respects. That he may not necessarily be a name that people initially bring up, but he's well worth doing the research and looking because he's a star wherever he goes. But he didn't.
He's kind of like he's kind of like, how can I put this, like, for sports fans? Like, he's a utility person. He's like somebody that he is good at, like, a number of different facets, and, like, for a lot of shows, he's kind of like the person that, like, holds the glue together almost in terms of, like, that card and why people would come out. Because I see, like, left and right, he's on an important show with somebody.
Constantly. But he's not a utility player in terms of he's there to boost the opponent. He's there to be himself, to make a name for himself, establish himself even further.
And that's why you, my friend, are a big deal, because you didn't get pinned or submitted to him.
I didn't. I most certainly did not. And absolutely, definitely, whatsoever, nothing happened immediately after that match.
I don't know
anything about it.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know what happened. I must have amnesia.
This is it. And it must be the mass hysteria from the pack of jackals that were just surrounding the Buckshaw Community Village Centre, just heckling and jackling and pricking, making all different things, chants like "one more time." No idea what they're talking about. Not a clue. I'm despondent that people don't even remember that. It was only a few months ago. Rest of the time, I've shaved Bob Costin. I've attacked him from under the ring. I had to fend off him and the rest of the Chorley National Guard the last time in the Lumberjack match. All moral victories, Tom. Moral victories. And what happens? Nobody remembers that. They're so quick to pinpoint and nitpick and put people down. They just don't see it at all. It's a reputation precedes itself. And again, I know you're a big fan of music, huge interest in music. Think about the people in hip hop. Think about like somebody like Jay-Z.
Yep, we play a lot of music on Sportswire. I format the music. Sure, go ahead.
This is it. You think about the music that you play. I'm sure Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer. Peter Gabriel must be a maverick within the music industry.
I do have to say, before I ever started playing that song, I thought it was an okay song. Peter Gabriel, obviously big time WrestleMania years back. Was it WrestleMania 21, I think it was, or 22? But the point was like, I liked Peter Gabriel a little bit, but like Sledgehammer, for whatever reason, I feel like I'm going to my grave with Sledgehammer. I've played it so many times.
You've made your bed laid in it now.
I'm sure there are people around me. My neighbors would love to take a sledgehammer over me when they hear number one. I'm sure when they hear that so many times, I'm sure they would love to take the sledgehammer out right now if they could. So yeah.
And I just love that Peter Gabriel is your favorite WrestleMania guest host. I mean, obviously Jonathan Taylor Thomas was mine, but again, nobody remembers. Nobody remembers history.
Well, I think
They
he was mentioned was one podcast I was listening to. He was like the little kid on Home Improvement, I think, with the big ego or something like that.
The one.
Yeah.
So many WrestleMania guest hosts, so many stars at the time. But again, people don't dwell on that. They just look at the here and now. And yeah, I might have lost the Lumberjack match, and we were unsuccessful in that tag team match. But again, another moral victory. Myself and Stephen Cross, that circle is forming.
On those tag matches, though, but to be fair, we spoke about some of those things, and there was a dynamic there, whether it was a mixed tag or whether it was tag teams put together at the last minute. I remember when you were aligned with Balachius in one of those a few months back, and the point was, to be fair, those were very difficult circumstances. You guys had no familiarity. You also had different egos, and you guys were kind of put in there, and you were almost kind of put in last second as the quarterback. So in a sense, you've been designed to fail here. You've been designed to have all these obstacles and roadblocks. That's why I think what's going on to you in the LWF, and I'll continue to say it, I will say it till the cows come home. We're bringing back Nathan Gunn next week, so we're almost reuniting the LWF team, and Mysterious Mr. B, I know, will be back. But I will continue to say it, that it has been an injustice the way you've been treated, because I'll pull up this comment again here from this individual. I know this individual very well, and I know somebody that's related to this individual who I had on yesterday, and there's no question that you are doing amazing things. You are a legend, and I think that it has been an injustice, the way we treat our legends and the way we treat those that give back so much in the ring, which would include yourself, and I continue to say it. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't be the LWF World Champion instead of Reynaldo, because you've been here through thick and thin, through everything else in the world of professional wrestling. I mean, so it has been an injustice with everything that you've been put in front of you.
I have survived a long time, and you mentioned quarterback of that team. I kind of like a different phrase, so I'm going to wear a hat to represent that. I was the captain. I was the team captain, and the team was running superbly. A smooth, well-oiled machine. Stephen Cross, we were working with some smooth tag team maneuvers. Aurora Tevez, she was getting on board. She was getting on board. Balachius, well, he can just do as he's told. He's a good listener. He's got good ears on him. And again, like you said, I have been designed to fail so many times. They love to set me up to fail, don't they? But to quote the Reverend Tom Bryce, as the captain navigates, a rising tide lifts all boats. So as I set sail and navigate through any treacherous waters that come up, whatever happens, whatever challenges come up, I always find a way out. I always find a moral victory. I always find something to move forward. And that's just as important sometimes within this industry, is that you are able to continue to move forward. If you stagnate, if you get stuck, that's where a career can falter and it can flatline. So whatever happens next, it's all about moving forward and having that progression. And again, you're right. Absolutely. So for those of you who are truly on my side and feel like you want to make Crossfire something big, get the signs, get the petitions, make sure that you're cheering everything, make sure you get all the right ones and you're stomping it and going, oh, hang on, no, not that one. But you get that sign, you get them waving along. You want to make sure that we become a team. I tell you what, actually right now, everyone who is on the Sportswire radio right now, if you go on Sparky316.
I'm looking at it right now on my Facebook page. I actually have viewers because I can see on the screen how the number of people, and I actually, believe it or not, sometimes I do these things and I'm like, gee, I wonder who's going to tune in, and I actually have a fair amount of people tuned in. So I'm actually there are people that they're hearing you. They actually
wonderful, and I'm sure they've got fabulous faces for radio, and I can't see them, and it might be for the best.
Well, so actually, some of them, yes, I can tell you. Some of them, yeah, pretty much. In fact, let me pull up a comment right now for you.
Oh, here we go.
Crossfire class name.
Oh, Charlie. Absolutely. And it took a man of real ingenuity and great thought and truly wondrous insight to come up with that name. And it was me, your beloved captain. So what I implore right now is that Crossfire is a wondrous thing. Stephen Cross, he's a little on the temperamental side. See if you find him on
On the
Facebook.
temperamental side, a little. I even saw the interview he did on 3 Count Radio with what's his face? It was Adam Barker, I think, and it was like even then it was like he was probably not too thrilled with Mr. Barker.
I think that was an imposter because something happened with Cross. He did this kind of thing, and there was almost a smile. And
yeah, there was a little bit because Mysterious Mr. B referenced it. He certainly did reference it a few times.
Dangerous thinking there, dangerous actions on Cross's part there. But what I recommend is you all go on his Instagram at Sparky316 and you message him as much as you want, and saying that you really support Nate Reese, you are really fond of Nate Reese. You bombard him, you send him he will absolutely love that.
If there are places out there right now, I mean, listen, I know obviously we love the LWF, but I will say if there are places out there and we speak with different places and different wrestling companies and you want a guy that could lead your company into the next decade and be the guy that can bring you followers, I mean, I don't know, Nonstop Action Wrestling, you're a new company, you're out there. And we even have wrestling companies now in the States called Wrestling Championship Entertainment, where it's real professional wrestlers, trained professional wrestlers who wrestle outside. They wrestle outside. It's legitimate. It's not like backyard wrestling where people are killing each other with cheese graters and, shopping carts. No, they're actual wrestlers who wrestle outside. They're backyard wrestlers, but they're professional, legitimate wrestlers. If you are those companies out there and you need somebody, you want to promote, you make sure that the pounds are enough to get him over, this is the guy I'm looking at. Because when I think about anchors to the professional wrestling scene here, this is the guy, Wildfire Nate Reese. And oh, by the way, follow him again on Facebook at Nate Reese Wrestling. Also, Instagram, Nate_Reese_wrestling. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio. Excited to be with, for the first time on camera, the first of things to come. That is Wildfire Nate Reese. And he is definitely bringing the fire. He's definitely bringing the punches. So I got to ask you then, Wildfire Nate Reese, with all that, I mean, what's the future of you in the LWF? I mean, I have to say it. I mean, you're speaking about Cross, but, I mean, what is the future of you in the LWF right now?
Well, to be fair, Rome wasn't built in a day either.
True.
So it is a little bit of a process. We do have Summer Smash coming up. That is an event that I most certainly will be checking out alongside matches like Lachlan Sharp and Rob Drake. We've got the title match.
Eitan Steen and Chris Stone, another wild card match.
Lots of wild card matches. I believe Disrosada and Jack Barron's on the card as well.
That was just announced, I think, today, if I'm not mistaken.
And I believe you've got Helena Reyes will be in tag team action.
Right. We have the Worst and Shining Wizard as well.
Worst and Shining Wizard. 2 wrongs don't make a right. But we'll see how they get on with that match.
And we'll also have, and obviously the big one, the world title match. Getski and Reynaldo.
You've also got the upcoming tag team title match, which me and Cross will be keeping very close eyes on to see what works there. Because again, that can be the future of the tag team division there. The world title match, yes. Reynaldo, Davey Getski. Getski, my number 1 fan. It's all right.
Oh, yeah, Davey Getski.
He's just sensitive. He's just sensitive. That's all.
All right, well, I hope that's the case.
But that is a match that has been a significant amount of time in the wings waiting.
Yep.
Getski was given this title opportunity, I think, back before the pandemic.
I was going to say.
So a lot has changed.
A former Castle Cup winner in his own right, and somebody that has always been discussed for that day. We had him on going way back last year, and this was discussed, certainly. So this was something that's been a long time in the making.
Absolutely, and this has been something that has been ongoing for such a long time. And, he's been a victim a little bit of the grand injustices that we all feel when we have to go through the LWF. But he's also aligned himself with the Wrecking Crew.
Yep.
That have brought a lot more. He's made the most of the advantages of getting into better shape.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you want to talk about wrestlers since COVID that transform their bodies? I think that he's the poster child of it.
He's doing pretty good. He's not the bionic biceps like Stephen Cross, but he is in very, very good condition, very good shape. He's found himself. And this is
Yeah.
why ETW, GT Ministries, he's starting to re-establish himself as a force to be reckoned with
He's all over
or
the
without
place.
the
I
crew.
see him in. I think I see him in. What's the company that Isaiah Quinn's with? With what's it? I think is it PCW? I think I see him in. I see him in these all different companies out there that I see him in. It's like he's
It's
just.
Superstar Pro with Paramount as well.
I think that's the one. Yeah, I've seen him in
Yeah.
Superstar and I've seen him in a lot of these different companies, and he's a guy that's really getting out there. He's one of these guys that almost every weekend he's booked. I mean, every weekend I see him booked somewhere, Davey Getsky.
And I feel that's only going to increase.
Oh, great. I definitely think that, objectively speaking, I mean, he's been on here at least, I think, five. I think I've had him on 4 or 5 times. And, there's no question from when I had him on the first time to where he is now. I mean, it's a night and day difference here. Also, Helena Razor and KT Hawkins, another match that's been a while in the making. Another great match for sure. I mean, you're going to see, obviously, he kind of touched upon it. Jenny B and Aurora Tevez versus Lana Austin and Harley Hudson. I mean, that's going to be another great match. Obviously, we spoke about Lana Austin at the top here, but Reynaldo and Getsky then. So, I mean,
Reynaldo and Getsky.
What do you think, though? I mean, we still have 2 more weeks, but I don't know. I mean, part of my gut, my heart tells me that Getsky's going to win this for whatever reason, but I'm rooting for Reynaldo. I'm there. I said it. I can't root for Getsky. He did badmouth you, by the way, sort of.
He did.
And Reynaldo's kind of defied the odds. I kind of feel like that Reynaldo, when he won the title, I think a lot of people were kind of skeptical on how long he would hang on to the title. But he's held on to it here for a long time. I mean, he's been champion for over 7 months, and he's kind of hung in there. I mean, he's had some different things, different scenarios put in, and he's still come out on top. And I kind of feel like with the 12th and the 13th man that he has, and I don't know. I mean, something tells me here that Reynaldo may still find a way, and that's kind of why I'm rooting for Reynaldo, even though Getsky, the run he's on, he might have an edge.
He does get a lot of support from those little urchins. That's very, very true.
They love him. They love him. You know it. You've been there. You've heard those chants. You've heard hundreds of those little kids yelling his name.
No, Tom, they're just coughing. They're allergic to him. They're just not feeling right when they go near him. That's all that is. But one thing you mentioned there, hanging on, that might not be the right phrase, because Ray, with all the championship matches he's had, the contenders he's had, he's fought for those victories.
Oh, he's had some big wins. I mean, there are
big wins
have been put in front of him, and these weren't just people you find off the street. These were world champions. They were superstars. I mean, they were just. I mean, he was put in there with. I mean, almost maybe he was designed to fail in a sense, and he's kind of. In a sense, that's why I said hang him. Soner Durst. Remember the Soner Durst match he had? I mean,
Soner Durst, Dan Evans. Dan Evans has been traveling internationally the past couple of weeks.
I was going to say, I think he was in America wrestling, if I'm not mistaken. I believe
yes, he was.
So Dan Evans, another guy that he's been in the ring with, I mean, and he's gotten through. I mean, that's why in one sense, it's been really impressive how he's been able to hang on as champion. I really think it's been extremely impressive. And like I said, I don't know if anybody thought he would hang on to the title as long as he's held it, especially, again, considering the fact that he hadn't been a world champion in 10 years.
That's very true. And just a moment of silence for the LWS well-intentioned plans. Okay, great. Because like you mentioned there, the LWF love to design people to fail.
They do.
All the time. All the time.
They do. Whether it's you, whether it's Cross, whether it's even a Balachius we spoke with his whole thing with Martin. I mean,
looking through all your plans, Fitzgerald and Bibbo, all the plans.
And I have to announce it here. I do have to make the announcement because I have been contacted by the mysterious Mr. B. He has contacted us here on Sportswire Radio while we are talking live here for a few more minutes with Wildfire Nate Reese, he has alerted me that he wants to come back to Sportswire Radio, and he's coming back to Sportswire Radio Monday, August the 15th, just a few short days before the LWF's next event, Summer Smash. He is going to be coming on 7:30 p.m. live to speak about a lot that he wants to get off his chest. So the mysterious Mr. B is coming back. He is returning to Sportswire Radio, and who knows what he has in store for us. But he has alerted us that he wants to come back, and he will be coming back.
A long time ago, I read a book that, might be unusual to those that sit in Trolley and watch the LWF, words of a grand articulate nature. And I read about theoreticist Martin McLuhan and The Medium is the Message. The real question is, how did Mr. B contact you, Tom? Was it through smoke signal or hologram? I'm really concerned about your well-being right now.
Well, actually, he gave us a message through sort of a third-party intermediary. So that's kind of, how can I put it? I guess it's, now he's got spokespeople. He's
hostages.
Who knows? He's big time now. I mean, Mysterious Mr. B is a big deal. I mean, he's just a superstar. I mean, he's now, he doesn't even contact us. It's somebody that contacts us through him. So, I mean, that's
B stands for so many things, couldn't it, Mr. B?
But I don't know.
Looking at the LWF though, that title match, like you mentioned, Reynaldo, he waited a long time and he's had 7 months with that reign, with that belt. Davey Getzke's waited over 2.5 years for this.
True. And listen, there's no question. I've seen him in Kingdom of Wrestling. I've seen him in, obviously, Bolton Town, Superstar. I've seen him in a number of different companies. And it almost feels like it might be his moment. But again, something tells me, for whatever reason, Reynaldo's going to find a way, because he's got something that nobody has right now. And that's that 12th and 13th man. And something tells me here on Sportswire Radio, I am going to get in a lot of trouble for saying this, but something tells me that there'll be a way that Reynaldo is coming back to Sportswire Radio before August the 20th. But all I'll say is stay tuned for further details. Stay tuned, because I can't quite say how, I can't quite say when, I can't quite say anything else further, because as somebody who was on a mock jury or online jury last week, I don't want to incriminate myself, because let's just put it that way. But he's going to be back. So certainly Reynaldo is going to have a few things to get off his chest. But stay tuned for those details. That's all I'm going to say here. But obviously, I know that you're a busy man. You got a lot on your plate. You got a lot that you're looking forward to here. And certainly this has been one of the bigger surprises of the week. It's made my week, actually, to speak with you, because it's been a while, and I'm glad.
You're a gentleman and scholar.
I use that quote. I actually had two of my friends over my house. Actually, both are listeners, Anthony J. Finkel and also Jamie Sanders, who I referenced, and they've obviously listened to us. And Anthony watches all the time my streams on Facebook. In fact, he liked our video, so he has tuned in here before, but he was kind of shy on commenting, because he actually messaged me that he was watching, so I appreciate this. So I actually used that quote, gentleman and a Rhodes Scholar. So I used that quote yesterday. So what a small world. But this has definitely made my week. I definitely needed this. I'm looking forward now each and every week to have you on here on the camera, because now we can speak about all things here. And also want to give a shout out to somebody else before I get to that, that's actually tuned in on YouTube. My very good friend, I'm going to pronounce his name correctly. He's a college basketball star from
You pronounce
New York.
it Jacob. Jacob, you pronounce it Jacob.
Yes, but the last name is where I'm going to have some trouble. But I think I've got it. It's Jacob Davitashvili. Jacob Davitashvili, who, by the way, big wrestling fan. He's watched some of our streams. He's watched some of the wrestling. And he gives not one, not two, but 3 thumbs up. So even Jacob Davitashvili is tuned in here on YouTube, of all places. I don't really promote YouTube, but I share it out there. But he is tuned in, and he's enjoying it. And I've asked him about wrestling, and he definitely likes wrestling. And he's a fan of international pro wrestling star Wildfire Nate Reese, the renowned, legendary Wildfire Nate Reese, who's been in the ring with the likes of a guy, Franco Varga, also, by the way, from New York, who's defeated WWE legends and world champions. And He didn't lose to him, by the way. He technically did not get pinned or submitted by him. So that shows you the kind of man that you're hearing right now on Sportswire Radio and Wildfire Nate Reese, a man that was not defeated by a man that's defeated WWE champions in the past. So that tells you that this guy is main event. This guy is big time here on Sportswire Radio, and this is the guy that's kept us in business, and this is the guy that has made us to the place that we are right now currently. So obviously I've got all that out of the way, but I want to give you the floor now. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, say, and say whether it's to anybody in Odyssey, to the LWF, and the management of both companies, the locker rooms, whatever you want to say, I'm giving you the floor now.
Much obliged, Sam. So first off, Jacob, you can have a middle-of-the-road thumbs up. Much obliged. I'm sure there's badges and stickers and merch and all sorts of things I can sell to you if you want to get in contact. Because clearly this is a business, like Tom said, so we can make lots of money. But no, big thanks to anyone that's checked this out today. Anyone from the LWF, I hate you all. Apart from you, Stephen Cross. I miss you. I miss you. By all means, feel free to get in touch on social media. Have a look at Wildfire Nate Reese. Have a look at Nate_Reese. That's REESE_wrestling. By all means, look at the @ Stephen Cross and Sparky316 on Instagram. Remember, keep looking away. #Crossfire, #Crossfire, #Crossfire. He will love that. He will love that. In regards to the LWF, I will be there in Summer Smash. Cross will be there at Summer Smash. Regardless of what happens, we are very keen to see what unfolds over the next few weeks, the next few months. We'll ensure that Crossfire will be a solid unit, ready for tag team contention, with whoever wins out of Synergy and the Merseyside Mercenary Squad. My apologies.
I always get trouble with that. I always have trouble pronouncing that. So I've been reminded of that in the past. So don't feel too bad. I've had some in the locker room remind me of that.
Occupational hazard. In regards to Odyssey, I know that they've got a show tomorrow night on the 6th. So we will see what happens there. Obviously, RPD's competing. I believe it's against Reese.
Yes.
Yes. Again, that will be another match to keep an interest on, as RP has promised to go all throughout the spotlight.
Andre Decker and Big Guns Joe as well, another match of note.
Big Guns Joe, another person who's been making waves recently as well. Well worth checking out if you've never seen him before. You've got the tag team of Scum. What a catchy name. You've got all sorts of different great competitors all throughout the card on Odyssey, so certainly go out and check that as well. Do check out, I believe, TNT Ignition, which RP's been on as well. Yep. They're now on a brand new channel, so by all means, feel free to check them out.
Which I'm disappointed in, because Powered 4 TV, everybody used to be on, and I had interest in purchasing that stream, and the guys just, I don't know, they just didn't want to give it to me.
Well, we'll see what happens, but ultimately something new may come from that. But the main thing is that because of you and because of the great audience here, we're continually being able to be supported, whether it is an RP Davis, whether it's Reese and Rogan, whether it's Synergy, whether it's Bob. No. Just going to. Sorry. Whether it's the asset Stephen Cross, whether it's Tonga, whether it's Katie Hawkins, whether it's anybody else that you may have seen, whether it's LWF, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, Future Shock, Catch Pro Wrestling, Franco Varga International on all of his biggest card ever shows. Keep watching, keep checking everybody in wrestling. Keep following your favorites, seeing what they're up to. Wrestling's back. I know this time last year we were at a point where we were just starting to maybe get a few shows.
I think Odyssey had just either, it was the week of or the week after a show. I think the LWF was coming back, I think, the week later. And I think some other company, I think GT Ministries had just started. And I think KOW was supposed to start, but they wound up pushing it back. So, yeah, we were right around that time of sort of in the comeback period. Yeah, pretty much.
So it's very easy to forget that now. We've been very fortunate that the last few months we've been able to have things back to where they were, things back in its right place. And me getting to look at all of those wretches in the LWF and proving them all wrong. So big thanks to anyone that's been supporting wrestling, Big thanks to everyone that's supporting the show. Thanks for supporting me. Double thanks to supporting Stephen Cross because he needs it. He just needs it.
No, he does.
You keep plugging away. Hashtag Crossfire. He needs that.
No, he definitely needs it. There's no question that he needs it. And also want to give a shout out to Jacob because Jacob reminds me of his basketball team schedule, and his home opener will be November the 11th, and we'll make sure to plug that in a couple of months. We'll also make sure to get out the season as well for their season, which starts October the 29th. So thank you, Jacob, for tuning in. We'll definitely get you back on in the coming future. And Crossfire, by the way, love the name. Don't know if you guys will come out to the Stevie Ray Vaughan had a song called Crossfire. I don't know if you know that or not, but Stevie Ray Vaughan was kind of like the white guy version of Jimi Hendrix, and he died unfortunately in a plane crash. He also died young, but he had a song famously called Crossfire. So I mean, everybody thinks of the CNN show in America politically, but Stevie Ray Vaughan was a renowned guitarist, and he had a song.
Could be one to check out.
Yeah,
could be Peter Gabriel.
Well, Peter Gabriel, we do play. I don't have Crossfire in the rotation, but I do have Jimi Hendrix in the rotation. But I don't have Stevie Ray Vaughan. But I definitely have Peter Gabriel. So all great stuff with that. Obviously, if you are on Facebook, I'll be back 9:30 p.m. tonight live with the American Sportswire radio team, and we'll talk all things related to the world of sports. Although usually what I have been finding is that I'm getting wrestlers who are up for whatever reason at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning who pop in. So at this point, everybody seems to pop in and say hello once or another. So also for that, if you are on sportnarium.com/player, I will turn it over to our DJ Dale, DJ Slippy. He will be off the air, and I will replug the dial at some point for some more content. In the meantime, you'll probably get some music from him still for a little while longer, and we'll be back also here Monday with young up-and-coming pro wrestling star Champ Rogers, who you saw in GT Ministries in the NSAW Showcase. He'll also have wrestled in Blackheart Wrestling. This coming Sunday, he's in a match against the UKW Tag Team Champions, the Playtime Mafia. So I'm looking forward to getting into that and much, much more. So that'll be for Monday, 8 o'clock British Standard Time. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to Wildfire Nate Reese. We'll be back here with him next Friday right around this time. So we'll make it a recurring theme because people seem to like it. And also follow him, Nate_Reese_wrestling on Instagram, Nate Reese Wrestling also on Facebook. Thank you, everybody. Good night. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend